I believe that it's never ending constant improvement. You know what I mean? I feel like you need to wake up today trying to be better than what you were yesterday.
That was Alberto Colmenares from Casa Colmenares. Alberto learned the basics of alcohol infusion in Hartford, Connecticut back in 2013. Over the last 10 years, his curiosity and interest in this art helped him to develop the process to a point that he believes that his quality of product should have its own brand. And from that, Casa Colmenares was born. In today's show, we discuss the birth of that product, Casa Colmenares alcohol-infused products, and the various flavors that he has, including the strawberry kiwi, a tequila/strawberries and jalapeno, and then an orange peel whiskey flavor. Stay tuned to be sure to listen to some of the influences in his life and some of the travels that he's had to ultimately end up to this point of developing this product.
Welcome back to the Our 2 Cents podcast, the show where your local professionals sit down with an array of guests to hear their story and impart some wisdom for both business and life-improving skills. This is your place to hear business and community leaders discuss relevant topics that matter to you.
And welcome to the show today. My name is John Duffield. I'm a local CPA, and I got to tell you, I'm excited to be able to record with my co-host Danielle. Danielle's so involved in our product on the social media aspect, but she's actually on the microphone today and going to be able to do a part of that. So pretty excited about that. She is a part of the team that makes us look a lot better than we naturally are. So that part's good, and I'm glad that she's here. Before we get into today's episode, I would like to encourage our followers to listen to last week's episode with Miss Aguilar, the author of Pearls of the Soul, as she discusses how to face adversity. I think it was a great episode, and we all face adversity all the time, including I have some today. So I was being a little crybaby earlier and facing adversity, and so I think it's one of those things that we can all benefit from. Alberto, excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good. I can't wait to get into some of today's topics with you. I have to tell you that one of the things that I always do, Olivia always gives us kind of show notes, gives us kind of the framework of our guest and whatever it is. And then, you know, the nerd that I am, what I always try to do is go out and learn as much as I possibly can about our guest. And so I went and searched kind of your company name and infusions, and all this stuff came up, and it was infusions. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know where this is going today, right? And so there were so many things that were associated with that. And so I'm excited to learn more about you. So saying that, tell us about your business and the infusion side. So tell us about that, and then how you got started in the business.
Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me again. The name of the business is called Casa Colmenares Infusions. Okay, so that what we create is actually natural alcohol infusions based on different fruits and flavors. We just put both elements together, and we have figured out a way to balance them out and be able to create just a pure alcohol that just have a natural flavor, no sugars added. It's like what we consider a total different experience on drinking.
Sure. How did you get started in that business, and you know, how'd you turn that into a business model?
Well, back in 2013, I was working in Hartford, Connecticut, on a fine dining place, and they started doing the infusions of alcohol on a very basic level. Okay, we were trying and failing a bunch of stuff, and the fruits that they didn't work out, nobody took the time to figure it out what it went wrong. They just moved to the next chapter, and I got this passion for just learning a little bit more about what this infusion process was, to be able to make all these failures work, and try to see if I could have a different approach. I took the time to learn about it. I practiced on my own. I have little tries and fails.
Sure.
And with a little bit of time, I was able to master, you know, some fruits based on the knowledge that I acquire on them, you know, like growing soils, you know, weather conditions that they grow. Like what do we have to do to stimulate this fruit to be able to have the element to infuse with our alcohol and just create that flavor, that it has to be consistent and it has to be good enough for actually people just to try our product.
It's interesting. I started thinking about that once I figured out what you're actually doing. And I thought about, with foodstuffs, I love to cook. And part of cooking is that, you're trying different things and, how much do you season and how much do you heat? And then the part that I enjoy is the sampling. And right. So I had this picture of you in my head about sampling all that time over the last 10 years, trying to get to that right product. Right?
It has been. Yes,
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So there's a benefit. I guess there's a benefit from it from that perspective, right?
It has to be, right?
Right. So doing that, obviously you're sampling and iterating, right? Working on and trying to find out what's that right combination to get to that right point. So tell us about some of the different products. I'd love to hear about, how you're marketing the product. Where can one of our listeners find your product? So tell us about some of those things.
Absolutely. So to start with the product, like now that we're starting small, we only work with Instagram. We have our Instagram page. It's called Casa Colmenares Infusion. So far, we are focusing on just 4 flavors. There are the ones that everybody's been loving the most. Okay, we have right now a strawberry and kiwi infused vodka. We have a strawberry and jalapeno infused tequila. We have an orange peel infused Irish whiskey, and we have a grilled pineapple Caribbean rum.
All sound delicious. So tell me how are you selling that? All through personal contact through Instagram, or
so far right now, through actually personal contact on Instagram. You know what I mean? We're just starting to just develop our idea, to introduce the concept. This is something that we believe that we need to teach, that we would like to not teach, but just guide step by step and hold hands with everybody so they are able to know what to do with it. You know what I mean? I get a lot of questions on the page of people to actually get the product. What can I do with it? So every infusion that I have at least 2 cocktails that you can make yourself at home with.
So what is your favorite cocktails to make?
I really enjoy making my orange peel Irish meal. I really enjoy do that. I'm a big fan also of my grilled pineapple dark and stormy. I like to grill a little piece of pineapple too and put it as a garnish on top. The tequila is great for margaritas. You can't go wrong with that.
So did you say you cook with this as well?
You can cook with this as well. Yeah, I actually I make my own grilled pineapple barbecue sauce at home, and I put some of this rum when I slow cook it, and it's actually delicious. It works pretty good for glazes, for reductions, or anything like that, because it's a natural product. It has no syrups, no additives, so it's not something that is going to modify any. It's just going to be just natural flavor.
And the color of these are beautiful.
Thank you.
So you're bottling the product, obviously, or is that something that you're doing on your own, kind of what I'd call small batch, or?
Yes, sir. Normally, we actually work on just a format of small batches. I don't do a batch higher than 24 bottles. Okay, just to guarantee the selection of the fruit that I have. You know what I mean? Because I have once I buy the fruit, I still have to sort it out. There's some fruit that is good to infuse. There's some other fruit that is not good to infuse.
Sure.
And the fact that I don't grow the fruit, I have to just do my own sorting after I get the main product. And the fruit has to be good for flavor, has to be good for the color, and it has to be good for the period of time that we already know that it's going to be infusing.
Sure.
So how long does a bottle last on a shelf?
A bottle on the shelf lasts up to 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Without any problem.
But no one's keeping this bottle.
Right, yeah, it's not going to make
good luck on that.
It's not going to make it that far. So,
no,
yeah.
there's no
I was
way.
thinking about when he's talking about barbecue, and I was thinking about one for me and then one for the barbecue sauce.
Hey, pretty much. One for the glaze too, so you can take a double shot.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to make it far. So sitting here, we have a lot of listeners that are business owners or some of them entrepreneurial minded, so want to learn from that. What's your vision as to the business model long term? What do you see happening?
I see, based on the response that I've been getting, the excitement that we have, me and my wife, which is my partner in crime with this amazing project, and the reason why we started doing this. We see that we have a really good market for Bakersfield. I feel like, based on the feedback that we're getting, we are very tempted to just start everything super fast, and we cannot wait to put this on the shelves of the local stores. We're going to try to introduce our product also to local bars. once we get, all our stuff started. But so far, I mean, like the vision that we have is very exciting and scary at the same time,
Sure.
which is amazing for me.
Yeah, it makes it part of the experience. And you said this, by the way, you said Bakersfield's a great market for it. I heard you say, I think you said New Haven, Connecticut? Hartford, Connecticut.
Yes.
How did you get transplanted from Hartford, Connecticut to beautiful Bakersfield?
I actually moved here to help my family. My brother used to live here and my parents. And I met my beautiful wife here in Bakersfield.
Okay, good.
No better reason to stay here.
Did you grow up there, back there?
No, I grew up, I am original from Caracas, Venezuela.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. You've a little bit of everything.
Yes,
right. Experience it all. So good. What do you feel like, looking at it and being this far in the experience, what do you feel like it takes to be successful in business? You're trying to market a product. You've created a product, right? And then now you're in that marketing mode where you have to share it with the world. But it's more than that, right? You've got operations and accounting and finance and all these different things. From your perspective, what do you feel like it's going to take for you to be successful in business or any business owner for that matter?
I believe that it's never ending constant improvement. You know what I mean? I feel like you need to wake up today trying to be better than what you were yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if yesterday was the best day of your life, you need to have a reason. Just keep going and just try to make it happen. And if it doesn't work, just wake up tomorrow and try to make it happen again.
Yeah, sure. You know what? I don't disagree with that, Alberto. There's a kind of a common theme that I get slapped in the face with all the time. And it's like, if you're not growing, you're dying, basically. And I think that's because business is just competitive. And so somebody else is out there trying to outrun you. And so you've got to do everything that you can to make it better every single day and work on it. And I think it's part of that iteration process, right? It's that same thing. To how to, just another step. How do we be better? How do we be better? How do we be better all the time? And, which I think makes it fun, makes it challenging, and it makes it exhausting at the same time, right? Because sometimes you feel like you can't ever relax from it.
Pretty much. I mean, you have to be hands-on at all times. And it's not an easy process to come out and say like, hey, I made this out of my head and my time and just kind of like present it and not know what people is going to think about.
Sure.
So I feel like you got to take the good and the bad. Some people might have good feedback, bad feedback, and learn from it and just try to accommodate and make it better to make that bad feedback a good feedback, I guess.
Sure. So now that you're in business, right, and you're kind of going that direction, what are you surprised, or what surprised you to learn that now you're kind of quote in business? What surprised you now that you're there that you wouldn't have imagined back before you kind of got started in that process?
I never thought that so once you get started, like I never thought how then everybody wants to help. Whenever you kind of like not making it, I think like we're still like in the process of growing up. But we see a really good like big light at the end of the tunnel, and it's exciting. I feel like what I have learned is like you gotta watch yourself a little bit more, because as you said, it's always
expand on that.
Because as you said, there's always somebody else out there who wants to probably run you over.
Right.
So now you got to keep looking at your rear mirrors. No matter what you're moving forward, you still got to keep looking at your rear mirrors.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what I have learned. And I have learned that it's more than what people normally think that it takes. Once you get in there and you see, as I said, it's this financial, the accounting, the marketing, and you're like, oh my God, I thought it was only one thing. Now it's all, but as I said, it's part of the excitement.
Yeah, I think what happens with what I call entrepreneurs and somebody that designs a product like this is very unique. You're not reselling this, right? You're creating it, right? It's your
Exactly.
It's your own artistic creation, and so you get to express your own kind of unique flavors and tastes in your product. And I think that's how a lot of business owners get started. Is they have some kind of technical capability or something that maybe they're good at. And so they go down that road, but then soon learn that, hey, what do you mean I've got to understand marketing, or what do you mean I've got to understand accounting for that matter, or, whatever else it is to be. So there's a lot.
Margins, all those things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was, had a new client in last week that effectively is creating what I'm going to call an apparel company, kind of a T-shirt manufacturer, if you will, but its kind of main product is T-shirts, but kind of an apparel brand. And when they came in, they were like, okay, we need somebody to do the accounting and do the tax return. And then we ended up talking about their budget and what it was going to look like from a costing perspective and manufacturing costs and everything else. And we kind of went down to this that, I said, hey, you guys are not going to be profitable. And they're like, what do you mean? And so we pulled up a spreadsheet and started going through the costs and the numbers and they were like, oh my goodness, you might be right. And so it was that thing to kind of open the eyes and understand that for them. So it is costs and the margins, right? And so, when we're getting started, I think there's this tendency to fund a lot of these things out of pocket, right? And so, this is me doing it and kind of feeding my passion or whatever it happens to be. But all of a sudden somebody asks you to, they ask you for 1,000 bottles of your product, and you have to know what to price it at to be able to make money and manufacture it at the right level. So that's great. Now that you've kind of been down that road a little bit, what advice would you have for somebody else that would going to be that, even if it was alcohol or some other business that, creative expression, what advice would you have for somebody?
I will give them the advice of just remove the fear of just creating. What you mentioned earlier that about cost is, for me, I didn't know how to put a price to my work.
Sure.
It's like an artist who has a painting. It's how much is that painting, and
sure,
how can you put a price on it? But I feel like for anybody who is doing a crafted business, who is starting, is just, you got to put yourself out there. I didn't believe it. I was pushed. And I was blessed by that.
You were pushed?
I was.
Is that your partner in crime pushing you?
If my wife is listening to me, she is the one behind all this.
All right, good for her.
She is the one who actually told me, you got to go and do it.
Okay, cool.
And that is, I would say, the best piece of advice. Just listen to your heart and to the people who love you, that really believe in you, and you will find the price of your art.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's what's great about this community, that's for sure. When you invite people, they do come and they do try it out. They'll give you advice. They'll give you, if they don't like it, they'll definitely tell you they don't like it. And they'll kind of guide you that way.
Criticism.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not that creative on my own right. Okay, right? I'm just not. But I actually was part of a business before that we had the business to what I call effectively manufacture, and this is how my mind thinks and what I chose to do. And I said, hey, let's not. I'm not creative. And we had people that were part of the team that did have some creative juices, but I said, let's go out and get all the other competitor products, right? And we actually had what we called a customer advisory board. And so we bought beer and pizza for a bunch of customers, and then, gave them all, notepads and pens, and then said, kind of go down and look at every single product that you have here. And we'd like you to make notes as to what you like about the product, and then what you don't like about the product, and then what you would do differently, right? Yeah. And went through that whole thing. And that was about, 15 or 20 people or something after they'd had a few beers. And, it was really fascinating because, independently, what we got back from that group of people were a lot of the same things. They were like, well, this product doesn't do this. Yeah. And it was a lot of things that we didn't really think about on our own. And so, it was, in the end, it was just this compilation of notes that were kind of all the best of the best of the best. But, what you're doing is your own unique product, right? That you're not you're not copying somebody else. And
no, not at all, actually. And it took us, I would say, 3 years to come down to the 4 main flavors that we have. I can personally make up to 40 different flavors. There's some ingredients, some flavors that they're not for everybody. Some flavors that I like to play with, that it will not be something that people will be interested on. And we did that part.
Yeah,
we tried it, and people told us exactly which direction we should go.
Yeah, so tell us about what you would say are your 4 best flavors again. You brought 4 bottles today, so tell us about those again. What you would say kind of your main flavors. Let's talk about those a little bit more.
I think you need to try one. I think it's time. That's a perfect segue to at least try. Let's try. Is that the strawberry?
Mm-hmm.
So we're drinking on the job. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, we sure are. You
I'm not working.
So now I know why Daniel wanted to be involved in this podcast, right?
I have personally tried it.
So this is strawberry kiwi
Infused vodka.
and
Yes.
vodka. Interesting.
It is very, very delicious.
So, that's interesting. So the one so I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure what I'm tasting, but I think I'm tasting kiwi. More so maybe than I am the strawberry.
The after flavor that you will get will be the kiwi. The dryness of the fruit will make you go back for another sip. You get the first hit of the strawberry, and then the second infused fruit will be the kiwi.
Interesting. How did you come about? I mean, you said that you were working with somebody else that kind of had introduced this concept to you, right? And so how did you end up deciding on strawberry/kiwi and the right mix and kind of reaching that point?
So I always thought, I remember that the first one was the pineapple. The pineapple was for me a challenge. That was the first one that I couldn't sleep on it. And when I thought about just starting this company, I thought about bringing a Caribbean concept, something from my culture, to show people like who we are,
right?
Where I'm from, this is what we do. So the grilled pineapple Caribbean rum was the one that I always had for the first one. Then I started working with strawberries. In 2014, I learned how to make vinegars and all that with strawberries for other cocktails that I used to do and make in Hartford, Connecticut. And I decided to give it a try. I have some extra strawberries, and then I said, but this is just way too basic. It has to be something else. This is too sweet. This is not different than any other strawberry vodka that you can find. And then I started doing more research about which fruits grow in the same weather conditions and have the same qualities as strawberry. Like it will pair the same way you pair your steak with your Pinot Noir, grapes and your Cabernet and your fish. It's the same thing with fruits. You need to find something that. So what do you normally find in supermarkets? A strawberry and kiwi salads, a strawberry and kiwi flavors.
That's
I say, you know what?
That's nostalgic.
Let's
for
do
me.
it. Let's try and see. But the kiwi is a heavy fruit, so now you got to work it. How can you work it without modifying it? So
heavy. Explain that to me. Heavy in what way?
Well, we got to shade the kiwi. You don't wanna have the flavor of the skin.
Sure.
Okay, because that's like you cannot. There's some fruits that you have to remove the seed, because if not, you got to get a wood flavor. The pH level of the alcohol, it will still affect the entire fruit. You still have to work the fruit to see what you want the alcohol to take to suck the light off the fruit.
I see.
You know, so sometimes if you do cherries, you got to remove the seeds, and you got to do all this process without touching it. You got to use your gloves and all that. So that's how we started the strawberry kiwi, and it was a hit. I tried it, and
it's very good.
Thank you.
Right.
I made a batch.
I'll take a little bit more. Right?
I made a small batch of 6 bottles, and the feedback that I was incredible. I knew how strawberry reacted, and I decided to try it with tequila, but with tequila, it's very limited what you can do. You got to think of margaritas. At least you're a straight tequila drinker, which is very rare to find. So I decided to go to something that it will be good with a margarita, and the spicy margaritas were hot back in the day. And I'm like, you know what? Let me see if jalapeno will do it. Thinking that it was easy, but then you have to understand, and then you got to read the jalapeno. You have to understand the jalapeno, if it's straight, if it's curved, how many seeds it has, because it might be harder, because you want to guarantee the consistency of the flavor. So that was the difficult part, like starting the jalapeno and how many seeds are you going to put, and how we got it all figured out. And we got into a point where now we know exactly how we got to work it, and we can have a consistent flavor. And with the whiskey, it was.
So that's tequila and jalapeno?
We have a tequila infused with strawberries and jalapenos.
Do you think that's the most challenging one?
I will say that is. I think it's because it's the hardest to work with. Not because everybody likes spicy, okay, but Bakersfield is the market for and spicy liquor, And because besides a margarita, if you want to enjoy it on the rocks, a lot of people are not used to drinking a tequila on the rocks.
Yeah.
So it's the one that
The
people
balance.
can play less with. The whiskey as well. I mean, if you don't, is when we decided to go with whiskey, it was very hard. We tried ginger for a little bit. We tried black pepper. We tried other seeds. I try to work with green cardamom, which is a Middle Eastern seed, to try to create a unique flavor. And before I worked with vodkas, I worked with tangerine, but I was not able to get the flavor out. And I started just doing research about how really the citrusy, like the citrus fruits actually work. And I decided to work with just the peel. And I said, you know what, let's try some orange, because I don't feel like anybody will like any other citrus type of flavor. We tried it. We made a batch. And the whiskey is our actually biggest seller.
I could see that. I'm unfortunately allergic to oranges, so I cannot have that one. But when you think of whiskey, you think of an old fashioned, and it has
Absolutely.
that orange pill. They squirt the orange pill around the glass, so that just makes the most sense to me.
Sure.
It works really well for mules as well, for Irish mules. You can mix it with ginger beer. You can drink it on the rocks. Normally, I would say for like other people make shots with it. They mix it with some sweet and sour and some other liquors, and they make great cocktails with it. A lot of people have sent me pictures about what they do, and they're motivated as much as I was, and that makes me happy.
Right.
Speaking
Absolutely.
of making shots, your wife is a creator of different shots, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of shots does she make with these drinks?
You know what? She's a big fan of the Irish mule. I can tell you that there's always my batches are not actually 24; they're 23 bottles. When I make whiskey,
She takes
because
one.
One goes for the boss, right? And she calls it quality control.
Right.
There you go.
But she's a big fan of the Irish whiskey with with the ginger beer. She likes to make a mojito off the grilled pineapple infused rum. If you add some mint and some lime, and I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, but chop some pineapple in it. And she enjoys a lot also the vodka. She likes to mix her own strawberry lemonade at home, and she mixes it with the vodka. Add some mint. It goes pretty well. Like she's a big fan of all of them. She doesn't do the tequila. She's not a tequila drinker, but she had tried it and she had to prove it.
Again, quality control.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So we could book you for events, right?
Yeah, we're working right now. Like any events that the people might have. Right now, we have a small capacity for licensing, but if anybody has any inquiries about events, about like private parties, about the product, about ideas for weddings. So right now we're doing a wedding for some friends of ours, and they want our concept for their cocktails. Any inquiries, anybody can contact us at the Instagram page, Casa Colmenares Infusion. We have an email address also that is casacolmenaresinfusions@gmail.com, and I will be answering all the questions personally. I'm the one who is in charge of all.
Perfect. We'll make sure
Those
to put
events.
that in the show notes. for those.
Absolutely. I'm looking at your Instagram page right now for the record, and it looks like, some different events that you've set up. Do you ever set up and do street fairs or different events or places that you're out on the street?
I have done actually. Most likely, we do tournaments. We are doing. We have done a lot of golf tournaments, and we're doing because we've been doing a lot of donations just to introduce our product. Get the chance to go out there and introduce myself and introduce the product and what the product is.
Sure.
It's a product that the hard part of this product is really hard to read. If you just see it like on a shelf, that's why we offer that personal communication with customers if you need help with cocktails and all that. Because it could be a complicated product too if you don't know how to really enjoy the full potential.
You got to be like Costco and be sampling all the time.
Right, pretty much. That's all you got to do.
Right.
Speaking of the label. Can we just talk about the label real quick?
Well, the logo is a funny story. It's a funny story that it was born on a napkin and a pen on a quarantine day.
Best ideas.
I know. We had a lot of time for ourselves, and that was at the point that my wife told me, she's like, you should do something with this. And so you got something, and I'm like, I don't know, what do you think? She's like, you should do this. And I decided to do a logo, right? And it's a logo that has a lot of meaning to me. You know, when I bring this product, and I told my family what I was doing and the concept that I have, you know, bringing the best of our nation to another place and just show them the beautiful things that other people can do. And the logo, well, if you see the logo, it's just a house from the top. The garden's in the middle, and the two hallways represent the two C's for Casa Colmenares. You know, I remember like my grandparents' house being like this, and you know, it's something that I always remember from home, right? The design inside the C's are Yanomami Mandalas, as one of the main tribes of our country. And you know, to take that pride and silently represent my homeland somewhere, and being able, I want everybody to know where is the origin of the product from, right? And I sent it to my brother in Argentina. I think he's listening to this podcast too, because I told him about it, and he just put it digital for me, and
the rest was history now.
Now we're here.
That's awesome. You have a fantastic story. It's fun.
Thank you, brother.
That's fun. I'm an accountant, right? You know how exciting that is, and that role every day. And so we're just not that, just in my profession, we're just not that creative. So it's just not what we get to do every day. So this is something that I think you can have a ton of fun, having fun.
I do. I love it. I really enjoy it. It means a lot to me. I use a lot of things, like the photography on the page. I'll do it myself. I learned that from my dad, and the fact that he can see what he did and how I'm using it for the name of the family. I feel like this project is just so much for us. It means a lot to us.
That's good. That's fantastic. When we wrap every time, we always ask kind of what we kind of call our rapid fire questions. And you've already made some kind of insinuations to it, but one of my questions I always like to ask is, who's somebody that influenced you the most kind of in your entrepreneurial journey? So if you had to think back, and so who's that's been that biggest influence or the biggest effect on this journey?
I feel like my parents and my wife. They have been the everything behind this. They're the main believers of my talent. I believe that an artist will never call himself good until somebody grabs you by the head and look in the eye and say, you got something that I don't have, and you better use it, because it's upsetting that you're not. I would say those three, my mom, my dad, and my wife, the main reasons why this project exists.
That's awesome. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, right? Go back that far, and then and beat yourself in the head to the point to where, it actually stuck, right? And you'd actually follow through on that. What would that advice be, or what would that direction be to that 18-year-old you?
Oh man, buckle it up, because it's going to be a hell of a ride. I was 18, I was already still living home. I never thought that I would be sitting in another country just starting something. It's been a journey, but I think that it will be like, you don't know what is coming. It's going to be good times and bad times, but just buckle it up and just put your head down and keep moving.
Sure. Yeah, no, you sound like you've had a fantastic journey, right? And
Thank you.
Right? No, listen. I grew up in Arvin, California, right, not too far from Bakersfield, and certainly have lived a journey of in some respects, but haven't been your journey for sure. So, lastly, if money was no object, and you could build a monster business conglomerate, what would that be? If money's no object. What would you go to chase if you could?
As a business?
As a business.
I mean, like with this business, like if I have...
It doesn't have to be this business. Could be this business.
You know what? I feel like I would chase the same. I'm really not doing this for the money. I feel like, things come naturally. I do this more as a passion. I feel like this is just more like... I'm not going to tell you that I have a hippie mentality about it. If it happens, it happens. If not, it's not, because I'm investing my time and my money on this. But I feel like what I go for is just, I want people to try something different. I want people to know there is something else out there that is way better, that is affordable, and is something that is really had changed a lot of people's drinking experience. I have customers that they regularly buy now stuff from me. They don't buy any more regular alcohol at home. And that for me is it.
Yeah, sure. Got to be very gratifying from that perspective, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that? What information you share? Is that phone number, Instagram? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, you can, my direct line, my phone number, they can contact me, area code 530-305-9033. The Casa Colmenares page, if they want a message, a lot of people send me, they tag me, they send me pictures, they have questions about events and all that. They can do it through messaging me on the page, or they can also send me an email at my email that is casacolmenaresinfusions@gmail.com. All those three ways they can contact me. Most likely I go through text message, right? Because I'm always working, and as everybody else, I don't answer phone calls from numbers that I don't know.
Sure.
But with a good text message or a message on the page, it will be enough to reach me, and I will answer any questions they have.
That's awesome. Danielle, you have anything before we let Albert go today?
I'm just looking forward to where you're going next, and keep on moving along, and see you down the road and every event. I know I'm trying to book you at every event I have. So. And
I'm trying to be there. We're trying to keep up. But it's definitely a beautiful journey. We're very excited to be here. Like we never thought that this will be something that will happen, but it's happening, and here we are, and we're ready for it.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, Alberto's, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been fantastic. Enjoy the sampling here, right? I don't always get that on the podcast on a Tuesday afternoon, so it's nice from that perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This show has been brought to you by the Law Office of Kyle Jones, Troy Burton with the Lynn Company, CPA John Duffield, Scott Hansen Real Estate Lender, broker and investor, Dave Plivlich, President and CEO of the Marcom Group and MarcomBranding.com, and Amanda DiGiacomo, President of Atlas Financial Solutions. You've been listening to the Our 2 Cents podcast. Check out the show notes for links and more information about the show. Also visit our website at our2centspodcast.com or catch us on Instagram at Our 2 Cents Podcasts. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with others.